Two guys in their early 50s with one dream: to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Pilgrims, we're back. Andy Walker, wonderful to see you again. How are you this week?
I'm good, actually. Yeah, really good. Sort of finally have mentally sort of got past the Duntryleague issue, and looking forward to getting on the right page this time, as opposed to, well, the left page maybe. maybe I was just on the wrong page, and having a good back end to the year.
Yeah. Hallelujah, brother. I'm with you on that one. So I think we're going to chalk that one up. And I listened back to the last episode the other day whilst I was in the car, and geez, we sounded miserable. Sorry, Pilgrims. Thanks for listening. Yeah.
I think after Duntry we were miserable, and that's just. I think you've got to go through that pain sometimes just to go, slap yourself around the face a bit and stop being so miserable and on we go. So, you've got the highs and lows. It's life, it's golf, and that's part of the pilgrimage, isn't it?
This is true. You can't have the good days without a few of the bad ones. And we're not alone on this journey, and we're certainly not alone with those experiences. But we do promise tonight, Pilgrims, to not continue to wallow in self-pity. We've picked ourselves up. We've dusted ourselves off. And in this episode, you're going to hear all about the new approach, the fresh approach to golf and life.
We're
examining our navels.
Slate clean. Wipe the slate clean a little bit, and just starting on a fresh piece of paper.
Yes, which is exciting. But before we get to all of that, I do need to issue a very quick apology to all the Pilgrims, in particular those of you who are playing in the 2026 Missing Links Golf Show Yearly Championship. We had promised at the end of last episode that we were going to go through the results of the month of April in this episode. We are, in fact, not going to do that because we're going to do that next episode, because it's just taken a little bit longer to compile all the results than what I had planned. So we'll do that next episode, Pilgrim, so apologies in advance. But Andy Walker, with that said, after the disaster at Duntry, which I think is what it shall henceforth be known as, what have you been doing to right the ship?
Yeah, look, I got back and... it took me a little bit of time to just decompress, I guess, from what happened there. And look, there were some good things that happened at Duntry, especially on day one with the ball striking. What I'm trying to.
Sorry, I thought you were about to talk about dinner after the round. That was pretty good.
It was pretty good. But as you know, I'm a technician and a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to certainly my golf swing. And I don't know if you remember, back in January, I sent you a clip, a YouTube, or it was on Facebook, a Facebook clip of Adam Scott, where one of the many YouTube university experts had slowed down the clip, and he'd made some comments about Adam Scott's swing and some of the club positions that he was in, and it sort of has led me sort of down a bit of a rabbit hole, or further down the rabbit hole of where I wanted to go. And I've actually been wanting to talk about this for a little while. Of course, it's been sort of a couple of things have been fairly key in what I've been trying to work on. One of them, so we had three keys. One of the keys was on Adam Scott's backswing. When the club is about parallel with the ground, his club face is on the same angle as his spine. Now, that's very different to how I was taught to play golf, which I was taught that when you get to there, the club face, really, the toe of the club should be pointing up to the sky. So it should be effectively straight up, whereas Adam Scott's club face is more parallel with his spine angle, so more closed effectively than what I'd been taught. So I thought that was really interesting. Then at the top of the backswing, he made the comment the club face angle matches his lead forearm angle, so very sort of square to square. Then the third one was from about halfway down the downswing, and through impact, his knuckles are pointing towards the ground, and the lead wrist is slightly bowed. So that sort of creates some compression through impact. And I have heard about this sort of bowed left wrist from different sort of areas. I know that there are a couple of the tour pros that use it, there's another sort of YouTube university guy that I actually bought his. He had a El Cheapo course that he had on sale. I think it was like $20 or $30 or something. So I bought it just to have a bit of a look, and that was one of his things, and that also helps shallow the club as well, and that's one of the things that obviously I've been trying to work on to get to move away from that over the top sort of casting swing. Now, a lot of that made sense to me, so I've sort of been integrating that into some of the practice that I've been doing. I also really like, and I've mentioned Craig Hansen from World Class Golf before. I really like his instruction and a lot of his YouTube videos, and he in a lot of the videos he talks about the lead side of a golfer moving laterally towards the target before rotating. So he's saying that the lead side should be moving somewhere between 6 to 8 inches, which is sort of what the top tour pros do before the body starts rotating. And again, that sort of helps eliminate the over the top and early extension moves. So a lot of this stuff is what I've been trying to integrate into my own swing, and obviously with the Golf Swing Replay app, I've been doing a lot of work there just to see if I can get into these positions. It's been a bit frustrating because when I practice in the High Performance Center, I've been just going back and just practicing the positions that I've been in or that I want to be in. But then when I actually make a swing, I don't really get near where the positions that I want to. The whole sort of feel versus real type thing. So it's been a little bit frustrating, but I also feel that sometimes I get into the slot, and I think we saw that in the first round of Duntryleague, where I was able to get into that slot a lot. But then the other side of the equation is it's really inconsistent, and we get sort of what I did in the second round, which is just hit it all over the shop, and I've got no idea where it's going. So I was having a bit of a conversation. There's at my home club, Coinda, there's a guy who works in the pro shop who used to be a touring pro. And I was having a bit of a chat to him about it, what I'm doing, and what I'm wanting to achieve. And he looked at me and said, like, "What are you doing?" And I
That's
said, "Oh,
the
well,
feedback that you want."
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And I said to him, "Well, I'm just trying to, a little bit of sort of, short-term pain versus long-term gain, trying to, shallow my golfs and get a lot more consistency in my action." And he said, No. You need to understand what I'm saying. What the hell are you doing? and I looked at him and I said, What do you mean?
What do you mean? Yeah.
He said, are you trying to play in the US Open? Like you're trying to practice so much that you get to play in the US Open. And I'm like, well, not this year, obviously.
Not after my performance in Duntryleague.
And he's like, do you have enough time in the day or in your in your week to be able to practice making these wholesale swing changes? And I said, oh, it's not really. It's going to take a lot of time, and I understand that this is probably not great for my consistency. So he said, that's what I mean as to what are you doing? And then he said, why don't you just go out and play golf?
It's crazy advice.
And and I sort of went, yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
Fair question. Because I love playing golf swing.
And that's the whole thing. It's just made me think about my whole approach. And while in my head, as I said, I said at the start, I'm a technician and I've got a pretty strong attention to detail and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. But golf isn't about perfection, right? I think we've discussed that.
Pretty sure we've covered that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole reason that we started on this pilgrimage is to be able to play more golf, not play more golf swing. To be able to, get back into doing, to competing. To also have golf as part of, I guess, a mental health strategy and, getting out away from the desk, away from work, having our own stuff to do, our own stuff to strive for, and not sort of losing that dream, right, of having our own goals. And it's just got me over the last probably 3 or 4 days. It's just really got me thinking about, is the approach that I've been taking trying to make these wholesale golf swings, or sorry, the golf swing changes, is that the right approach? Or, as my friend in the pro shop has given me some different advice, I should just go out and play more golf. I wanted to have a bit of a discussion about the benefits of playing versus practicing, and certainly with limited time or limited resources, what the best approach is for our situation.
It's a very good question.
There's a lot there, right?
Oh, there is. There's a huge amount there. So, pilgrims, strap yourselves in because we'll be chatting on this for the next 45 minutes to maybe 3 hours. Who knows?
Yeah.
Look, I think he makes a really good point, but I also think it's not as simple as an either-or proposition. And the reason that I think that Andy Walker tried this on is because I think there's a lot of the game where playing the game rather than practicing technique is going to be helpful. That, like, there's so many shots that you play during a round of golf that are off imperfect lies. They're not full golf shots because you might have an obstacle to get above, below, around, or whatever.
Might be in between clubs.
Yeah, all of these.
Into the wind, downwind,
all of these things.
Crosswind, yeah.
And so you're never going to practice that in the sim, and you're probably not going to practice that on the range. The other thing is that so much of golf is actually not just the hitting the ball, but it's the decision making and the creative side of figuring out what the right shot to play is, and what the options might be. So course management, for want of a better term, as well as the mental game and problem solving and all of those elements that you can only practice by playing the game. You can't practice on the range. Golf's the only game, really, one of the very few games at least, where your practice facility is not the field that you play on.
Yes.
If you're, in a football team of whatever code, you'll generally train on the field that you would play on, or an example of. So golf's one of these rare places that you actually are practicing the skills separate to the playing field. So with that in mind, obviously, getting on the playing field more often, you can do all of those other things. Where I think, though, that when I say it's not an either-or proposition and there's a little bit of room for both, is where there's times, for example, what I've been doing earlier this evening is trying a few things technically to get my driver back. And I can't do that by going out, playing 9 holes and hitting 5 drives with potentially 20 minutes, 40 minutes between drives and playing a whole bunch of other shots, because it's just not enough time to figure out what's going wrong technically. So I think when there's a specific issue, and that might be putting stroke, that might be short game technique, that might be ball striking technique, something like that, where you need to work on a specific thing because there's an issue going on. I think that's where the practice range or simulator is really useful. But for everything else, I think that we tilt too far in that direction and definitely don't play enough. And potentially as well, that's where some of the problems actually that come out that are mental game problems, that your swing looks great on the range or in the sim, but then when you put it under pressure in a game setting because you're not used to it, then it starts to fall apart and weird stuff starts to happen. So, yeah, that's sort of my opening remarks on the matter, Andy Walker.
Yeah, and I agree with that because and part of this discussion and because there are time constraints and also distance constraints as well. I mean, it was easier in my previous house where I was literally 3 minutes from my driveway to the driveway and car park at Corinda. Now it's about half an hour. So there are definitely time constraints there where I can't get to the course as often as what I would have been able to in my previous residence. I estimate I could probably get to the course, on a Saturday afternoon. I've got some time. I usually do some business admin on kids sports Saturday morning. Then I do some business admin, and then sort of about 3:00 I can get out to the golf course, and that's probably maybe 3 times a month. I reckon I can consistently get that, and then playing in the comp every second Tuesday. Again, I think every week's a bit of a stretch. I don't think I've got the time to be able to do that, but certainly every second week is realistic because I tee off at sort of 7:30 and finish by 11:30. I'm home before lunch and can get half a day's work done. And if I need to work at night to get the full day done. So that to me is realistic. But there's also going to be a lot of time where, because I do the vast majority of work from home, where in between clients, in between work, I can just go out and sneak out and hit a few balls in the sim, and I think that's useful as well as the wedge play, which we use the Square Launch Monitor. You use the native software. I use the Awesome Golf software. So I still think there are benefits, and maybe sort of once a week I might be able to, when I just before I pick the kids up from school, I might be able to sneak maybe a half hour, 45-minute putting session on the green, on the practice putting green at Corinda. So I think there's going to be opportunities, but I look back at the amount of golf I've played, and certainly over the last 12 months, and it hasn't been that much, whereas I have spent a fair bit of time in the high performance center, and I think we've discussed this before, when I'm half an hour away from the golf course and yet 10 steps from the high performance center, it's an easy option to go there and go, I don't want to drive half an hour and half hour back, and it's easier for me just to go into the high performance center and work on my swing.
And that's totally fair, right? Like, you're not going to be able to play rounds of golf all the time, and I think where you've got half an hour that you can go out and hit some balls, it's better than not doing anything. But here's where probably the approach when using the sim might be something to look at. So rather than going out there and getting super technical about swing positions and making swing changes and doing those sorts of things, how can you use your time in the sim that's a bit more gamified? And it doesn't necessarily have to be playing rounds, even though you could. Like, that might actually be quite worthwhile, doing one of the sessions you go, I'm going to play 9 holes or 18 holes on the sim. That might actually be a good thing to do, so that you're starting to exercise some of the other parts around scoring. But also maybe it's a case of going, all right, well, rather than say you're going to do some short game practice, and rather than getting fixated on the technique when you're doing that, of going into that short game setup and saying, all right, I'm going to have 18 goes and I'm going to try and get up and down, turn the putting on. I'm going to try and get up and down 9 out of those 18 times or whatever, and sort of making it a bit more of game-based practice rather than getting overly technical. It could be another way of just using that tool, so it doesn't have to be course or nothing when it comes to playing. Because look, honestly, one of the other things as well, it's got to be fun,
Yes. Yep.
It's not work. We're doing this because it's fun.
Yeah.
So make it fun.
Yeah. The other approach that I've switched over the last couple of days in the high performance center is that, and I don't know if you remember, there was a time. It was probably a couple of years ago now, where when I was going out and playing, I moved across to, rather than having technical swing thoughts, I moved across to a swing feel.
Yeah.
And I would just stand behind the ball and just make a swing and try and feel the golf swing and how I wanted to swing the golf swing, rather than going, okay, my technical thought is I want to take the club, straight back, or have my hands in a certain position at whatever point in the golf swing, which is traditionally what I've done, right? So I made that switch to having a golf feel and making a full swing and just trying to feel myself making a good golf swing, rather than having any specific technical thoughts. So what I've been trying to do in the high performance center is exactly that. Is that I've without the ball there, I'll make 2 or 3 swings where I try and feel making a good golf swing, and then I'll stand over the ball and hit a golf shot and just try to make it about rhythm, timing, tempo, and hitting the middle of the club.
Oh, I think 100%. Like, there's so many coaches that will only talk to their players about a particular feel, to give them a feel to make the action, which is what is then creating the physical change that's creating the technical change. Whether that's about, say, I don't know, not a technical wizard when it comes to the golf swing, surprise, surprise. But, say you're wanting to shallow the club at the top and come more from inside to out, angle of attack at the ball. There's a lot of coaches out there that subscribe to the method of, let's talk about a particular feel, and it might be about, say a feel of clearing the front hip, dropping the rear shoulder, or just really trying to rotate through, or whatever the relevant feel might be, because it's different for everyone. And that'll actually deliver that technical change that they're after. Rather than saying, I want you to think about, when you get to the top of the swing, about dropping your hands in this direction before, turning around, because then you start getting really mentally aware of particular body parts and movements of body parts, and that can just absolutely destroy everything else that's going on. Now, everyone's different, right? Like, so the way that you might think about going about a change, if you said that information to me, I'm probably going to miss the ball, because I can't operate that technically in golf. Funnily enough, I did enjoy it in cricket, but it's one of those things when you do something a lot, obviously you get a bit better physical understanding of it. But for me, thinking about a feel, that can change my whole swing path, just thinking of a particular feel. It's quite amazing how powerful it can be. And you can do it still in a way where you don't become uncoordinated, because you're not sort of separating out all of your sequenced movements, if that makes sense. Yep.
So I think that getting out there and playing, I think there's quite a few benefits, to go through. is that it's a little bit it's not a little bit, it's unstructured practice, and we sort of covered that a little bit earlier, where you're never going to have a stock standard shot that you hit, whether it be in the sim or on the range. You're always going to have varying distances, a wind. You got to hit over water, or got to hit to a certain part of the green, or you've got to hit to a certain part of the fairway. So I think that unstructured practice is going to have a lot of benefits. But also in regards to wedge play, short game and putting as well, in that you're always going to have something different with your wedge play and putting, which gives you an opportunity to replicate competition practice, being in a competition, and that pressure and the environment of being in a competition.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So yeah, and the other thing as well is that you can also just stop at the side of a green as well, and do a little bit of short game practice, a little bit of putting practice, and being able to again incorporating practice into your playing practice as well.
Absolutely. The other thing which is fun to do is play, if you're playing on your own, play two balls, one versus the other. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can play two ball, you can cut yourself some slack, two ball, best ball, and try and shoot a really low score. Two ball, worst ball, and really put yourself under pressure, work on your consistency. Or just two balls, play first ball against second ball. It's a kind of a match play scenario, which is always fun. And you can even do we've talked about this before, doing a different strategy with the two balls, like one being super conservative and one being really aggressive, and seeing what works. Heaps of different games you can play from that perspective to keep it fun, but and also put a bit of pressure on it, because one of the other things that I also think is a danger, though, when you take this approach is when you go out and you just play 9 holes, you go, I'm just going to play a practice 9, and there's no pressure on it. There's not putting a card in or anything like that, and you can get super lazy and just play some really crap golf, and that is a danger. So I think you've always got to have a purpose and be intentional, rather than just going for unless you just want to go and clear the cobwebs and, after a long day at work or something, and have a bit of fun. But I think if it's about improvement and it's about actually part of your development plan, it's got to have purpose still.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was sort of part of my thinking, when I was sort of thinking about the agenda for tonight is I think part of a big part of what we want to do on this golfing pilgrimage is still improve and have that growth mindset, so that we can become better golfers. So it's not, it's about, the community, and it's about, our own mental space, being able to get out there and play golf. But part of it also is us improving as golfers, and whether you put those markers of lowering handicaps, improving strokes gained, metrics, doing well in senior amateur championships. So I think there's still got to be that mindset and that purpose, as you said, of going out there with a intention to improve and to grow, rather than just going, I'm just going to go out and play and muck around and not go out there with any sort of purpose or intent.
Yeah, and that's why I worry a little bit about what was the motivation behind old mate's advice. Was he really saying the best way for you to improve as a player is to get out and play more? Or was he saying, don't worry about it, mate, just shoot whatever you shoot?
What he was saying is and what his viewpoint was, he said he hated going to the range and hitting balls. So
whereas you've loved that.
Yeah, so his whole thing was he used to love going out and playing,
Mm.
and the reason why he improved from his perspective is because he went out and played golf and practiced golf on the golf course to improve,
Mm.
and he still plays, you know, quite a high level. Regularly goes out, shoots under par, and in the club competitions, and like can play. So yeah, his position and perspective wasn't, oh, don't worry about it. She'll be right, mate. Whatever's, go out and just muck around and do whatever you want. He was like, okay, well, if you really want to improve, the best, I guess, allocation of your time is to go out and learn to play golf
Mm.
on the golf course and learn to score on the golf course and learn to improve while you're on the golf course. So that was his whole perspective. Yeah, it definitely wasn't the, oh, whatever's, mate, just go out and have a hack around.
Yeah, no, well, that's good. That's good because obviously, that's an option, and a lot of people do that, and that's fine. But we're trying to find a way through. And actually, you know what? This is kind of central to the whole concept of the show, because what we're trying to do is find a way to improve with limited time and with other pressures and with all these other things that are going on. And, like you talked about the fact that you've now got a half-hour drive to the golf course. Well, I'm in kind of a situation which is a bit tricky at the moment. Like, I'm here where I'm at my home club. It's sort of Monday to Thursday, no daylight saving, so I don't have an opportunity to get out on the course because it's dark by the time I finish work now at this time of year. And then on the weekends, I'm 150 k's away and spending time with the family, and it's actually quite difficult to get out on the course. So I can spend some time in the sim here of an evening, but I might only get to play around, maybe 9 holes on a Sunday afternoon, or maybe a comp every other week. It's actually pretty hard at the moment for me to play a lot of golf, and I think I've felt the effects of that with where my game's at. But I need to find a way where I can juggle that time a little bit more effectively to get out on the course, or use my sim time a little bit differently, because just hitting balls on the range on the sim's not really going to, kind of achieve what we need to. And I think part of this is, like, that's been where my short game struggles have been, just losing so much feel with chipping and pitching as a result of just not doing it enough off grass.
Yeah. So when I've gone out to play, and just to sort of digress a little bit, in regards to what you can do when you're on the golf course practicing. So what I've had a tendency to do, two ways I've gone about it. Firstly, and it's mainly been time dependent, but the first thing I've tried to do is just play one ball and score as well as what I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of been, and when a couple of years ago, when I was had those couple of good rounds, the 2 under and even par, and played well in the Camden Seniors, that's what I was doing the majority of the time. I was replicating what I would do in a competition in my practice round, which I thought was very, very helpful. The other one that I've done, and I did this regularly, 30 years ago when I had a lot more time, was play 2 balls.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I've never really done, and you briefly sort of talked about it, is like play games with those 2 balls, like play one against the other, like a match play, or have a one where I'm playing really conservative and one where I'm playing quite aggressively, or one where I'm playing off the back markers, and the other ball I'm playing off the front markers, or any combination of those. So what's been your experience with playing practice, and how have you generally gone about it?
Yeah, I in the summers use it a fair bit, where I can get out after work and play 9 holes and, zip around in the cart, and you're done in about an hour and a quarter at the max for 9. And a few things that I have done is regularly play one ball against the other, and just keep track. So make sure they're obviously different numbered balls, so you know which one. You know which one's which.
Funny that.
And like play them. What I haven't done specifically is go the aggressive strategy, cautious strategy, that sort of thing. I've just generally played 2 balls and seen which one I go best at. And it's also interesting doing that because then you also kind of give yourself an 18-hole score in 9 holes. Is another thing to look at. Definitely done that one. I've done the forward tees as well, which is a really interesting one. So shot and actually managed to shoot 1 under off the yellow tees. Which that was really cool because that gets you into a scoring space that quite often you're not. And also the other thing is playing off different tees, particularly at your home club at a course where you're used to, it forces you to be playing really different shots into the green because your drive's ending up in quite a different location. So that changed things up quite a bit. I had a crack at playing the play your worst ball option with 2 balls.
How long did that take you?
It's about 2. I played about 2 holes and I gave up on it because it was brutal.
Yeah, my concern is that 5 hours later, I'm walking up 15.
I know. That's brutal.
That would be my main concern, especially with how I've been driving the ball in recent times. I'd never get off the tee.
The other thing that was really funny because I did do that and I started on 10, which is that slight dogleg left par 4, and I smoked one up the middle, and I'm like, cool. But what's really interesting then, okay, is you've got one up the middle, and it's like the anti-feeling when you're playing at Ambrose because then you stand there going, now I have to hit this one up the middle. I'm going to waste a good drive. And of course I blocked it into the trees on the left. And what was hilarious is, when you're watching someone going around on their own and practicing, you usually see them drive the cart into the trees, grab the ball, go out to the fairway and then hit another shot. So anyway, the guy's playing another hole, has watched me drive up the middle of the fairway, grab the ball, drive into the trees, drop it and play 2 out of the trees. And it's like, what are you doing? And the annoying thing is had a difficult shot to the green, had to like kind of punch it low and cut it around another tree. And I've hit the first one perfectly, punched it low, gone around the tree, rolled up to the front edge of the green. I'm like, how good's that? Second one, punched it low, trying to cut it round, hit the branches, dropped down, stayed in the tree. So I've had to drive up to the green, grab the ball, come back 50 metres back, drop it in the tree.
So that's where you need a third ball.
That's where you go, come on, guys, this is ridiculous. So I probably, you end up making double when you go, I've hit shots that I could have made a birdie on this hole, and apparently it's soul destroying. But it's an interesting one just to... I don't know. I don't even know what it shows you, actually. I don't know what the point is other than just making yourself feel really bad about life.
Yeah.
I actually don't know what the point is.
And I think those Ambrose types of events, whether it be 2-ball best ball or 2-ball worst ball, I'm not convinced that that's the best way to practice. I think it's just too extreme. And I'm not a fan of massive extremes. There's got to be some balance and something in the middle there. So I understand the playing from the forward tees because that means you're playing an easier golf course, and if you start shooting a good score, it gets you used to shooting a good score.
It does.
And I think there are really big advantages to that if you're on a golf improvement journey.
Yeah, I actually think of all of the ones that I've played around with, playing the forward tees is the best for exactly those reasons. And what was interesting is it turned the last few holes of a 9-hole practice round, it put massive pressure on them because I'd got to 2 under. Yeah. And I hadn't, at this point, played 9 holes under par. I'd played even before. but I hadn't gone under par, and I was 2 under with about 3 to play.
Yep.
And at that point, you're going, I really want to do this. And so there was considerable pressure that you feel in a way that you just wouldn't feel otherwise on a practice round. And we did talk about this once before, and because we went through this 9-hole round in an episode on the Missing Links Golf Show. You might recall as well that when I had about a 4-footer for par on the last hole to go 1 under. And because I'd had a birdie putt, run it past, about 4 feet past. And before I stepped up to knock this one in, there was still a little bit of meat on the bone, and my playing partner turned around and went, "Oh, that's a really good 1 under round."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I do remember that.
Oh, dude, what are you doing to me? And so all of a sudden the 4-footer felt like a 14-footer. But see, like that pressure on a putt is not a chance I would have had that feeling on a 9-hole practice round without the fact that it meant something for a score.
Yeah. So, and that comes back to playing with a purpose, and that's what I really like, playing like one ball, just to see what score you can shoot, so that if you get to even par or 1 under or 2 under, there's that score pressure there. There's definitely that score pressure there.
Yeah. And sorry, the other thing that I should have mentioned in my opening remarks, Andy Walker, and you just reminded me, and it's the word consequence. And this is why it's so much easier to hit good golf shots on the range or in a simulator or, when you're practicing, because there is no consequence to a bad shot. You scrape another ball in and go again. Whereas when you're playing the one ball, there's a consequence. You got to go find it. You got to hit it from where it is. So every swing counts. And I think that is a reason why playing on the course actually can absolutely help you improve.
Yeah. See, the thing that I have done probably more than anything else, and this is the majority of the time, is when I've practiced, played off the tips, off the plates, because I just want to make things as challenging. I like a challenging golf course, so I've wanted to make things as challenging as what I can, and that's one of the things. My recent round down at Mollymook, that's what I did. I played off the plates, because I love playing Mollymook off the plates. It's a really challenging golf course, and it has its own pressure where it's more like that championship style of golf than what it would be, say, playing off the members' tees or even off the front markers. But I certainly think that there's and the one thing that I haven't done that much, and you probably only count it, on one hand, is playing off the front markers for the full round, whether it be 9 holes or 18 holes, where I'm able to, shoot a reasonably low score, or at least lower than average, and have that and practice shooting a good score, because I think there's definitely value in that. There's huge value in that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it all the time, but I think every now and then it's fun. Why not change it up? It's like, to be honest, it's in some respects it's like playing a different course, because you're faced with different decisions to make off the tee. There's different angles to hazards, and puts fairway traps and those sorts of things in completely different locations. You're playing different irons, different clubs into approaches into greens. Like, there's all sorts of differences that it brings. I haven't done this, but another thing that I have heard people do is actually turning the course into a par 3 course. So forget about tee boxes, but just make a decision before you go out what distance you want to play every hole as a par 3.
Right. Yep.
And doing that and just going up the fairway to a distance. And playing as a par 3.
One of the things, I think you'll like this, one of the things that I used to do with, there was, when I was at Mollymook as a junior, there was a group of sort of juniors and a couple of guys who worked in the pro shop, and we used to go out in the afternoons, and sometimes there'd be like 5 and 6 of us. We'd go out in a 5 or 6 ball, all in carts, and we'd tee off first and go, all right, we're going to play down to the 15th green.
Oh,
And you'd play cross-country golf.
Yeah.
And of course, like we had the golf course to ourselves effectively. There was no one else out in the golf course.
Yeah.
And just the different routes that people would take and the different shots that you had to hit. You had to hit around trees or up over trees or through, keep it really low through the trees and run it through. Like, it was so much fun. I don't think that I could do it at Coimbra.
No,
just because there's like, how it's in a housing estate and there's water everywhere and all the rest. But it's certainly if you're on a golf course that there's not a lot of people on it, that's one where you can have a bit of fun with it.
You can't do it in Sydney. You can do it in the country. No, that's about it. That's pretty cool. Or, I mean, you could always take the flex whack-it approach, the urban golfer, and just carry around a square of synthetic turf in your pocket and the world is your golf course. So, that's an option.
Yep, absolutely.
There's a few YouTube guys that you see get around doing that. I do not recommend that, by the way, because you can kill someone.
No.
So, no, I think I feel like the message is about playing or turning your practice into playing is good because it's exercising more than just technique. It's exercising decision-making and the mental side and all of those things. I think the other side of it is making sure that there is a purpose and that it's not just a muck about, but there is actually a purpose. And so whether or not you go, all right, I'm going to go out today and my purpose is I'm practicing my approach shots is the one thing I really want to work on, because you can do a bit of that in the sim, but not in the same way as hitting greens outside. This is not the same. And so if you go, that's my focus today, then you can go, all right, well, I'm going to hit drive. I'm going to try a few things, but wherever it goes, I'm going to drag it to a particular distance out in the fairway and work on my approaches. So that might be an option. Or you might go, I also want to really work on short game around the green. So no matter if I hit greens, I'm going to drag the ball off the green and I'm going to chip and pitch from a variety of locations. Like, there's a few things you can do. Or I'm going to go out and shoot a score, or like whatever. But so long as you get to that tee and you go, this is my purpose, this is what I'm going to do, not today I'm going to go out and shoot a score 3 holes in. Geez, it's not going very well. So I think actually what I'm going to do is practice my short game. Like, I think whatever your decision is, you got to stick to it.
Yeah.
And you got to do it.
Yep.
For the whole session.
Yeah. The other thing that I've done, which has been really helpful, especially with green reading. So I keep and this sort of goes back to when I went down the aim point rabbit hole, is I keep a digital level in my bag. I bought a online digital level.
Yeah, I noticed you pull that out and put it on the green during the Duntryleague seniors, and I was going to say, hang on a minute, I'm not sure.
Yeah, not quite. But what it's been really good for is when I've been practicing, and that again, it takes a little bit of time. So it's when no one else is around. I'll practice my green reading. What I'll do is I'll have a putt on the green, and I will obviously read the putt, and then after I've putted, I will then put the digital level down on certain areas of the putt and just try and figure out, or it will tell me how close I was to what the angle of the putt was. So it's really good to practice those green reading skills as well, which you're not going to get really on the practice putting green, because you're on it so much that you probably know most of the angles, and there's only so many times you can you can sort of read putts before you basically know every angle on that one putting green. So going out to the golf course and doing it, and you do become familiar with certain areas of the green where if you go out and do that often enough, but at least you're practicing those green reading skills and improving those green reading skills. So that's been something that's been really helpful.
Yeah, I think that can absolutely work. I think it's a good thing to do. I need to do a little bit more of that. I like the idea of the digital level. Is it a 360 degree level, or is it like a straight line?
No. It's actually like the level with the bubbles on it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's probably 30 centimeters long, in the same shape as a traditional level, except it's actually got a digital readout on it. So you put it basically straight across the line of the putt, and it will tell you what the angle of that, or that part of the putt, because obviously, unless it's a very short putt, you'll have different angles depending on whereabouts in the putt it is.
Yeah, so it's giving you a lineal reading. So if you're putting it across the putt, it's going to show you the left to right deviation,
Correct.
but not the uphill downhill element. The reason
but you can actually put it,
but then you've got to change it
straight down the line.
Yeah, but there are levels, and the Tour Read app is an example of this, which uses your phone as the level.
Mm. I found that to be very inaccurate, though.
Yeah, you've got to calibrate your phone, and I wouldn't use a phone for it. But you can. There are then also what you're talking about. Like spirit levels that are a circle rather than a straight line. So it's kind of like when you're looking down on it, it's like a target, and if it's dead flat, that bubble sits in the center of the target. But then in whatever way it moves, that bubble will move in 360-degree direction to show it's used. They're used really commonly for leveling caravans.
Right.
Because when you're leveling your van, obviously you've got back to front and side to side. So the spot level is actually really good for that, because it shows you might need to go, up at the back and up on the left, or vice versa. And that's a bit more like what happens on a green. So that might be something to look at as well, because then that'll show you left to right, up and down. So you kind of get that that full, 360. And then I don't know, they might do a digital version of it too. That'd be cool. Don't know how that'll work, but anyway.
Yeah. And you get those from Temu for $1.99?
The ones you stick on your van chassis, you probably can. I don't know. But I'm sure Amazon, maybe. They'd be up there. They'd definitely be up there. But anyway, that's a bit of a digression, but stuff like that. But I mean, like, it also might be a case you go, all right, well, I want to practice some bunker shots, or I want to, do whatever. But I want to practice with a little bit of purpose, right?
Yeah.
But caveat, pilgrims, please, if you're doing any of this, be mindful of groups in front and behind you, because we've all been there when we go for a quick 9 holes after work, and you catch up with old mate who's playing 37 balls into the 6th green. So if you're going to be practicing beyond playing around, please be mindful of the groups coming up behind, because it is particularly annoying. Is all I will say.
But I mean, you're not going to be doing that if you're if you're playing, say, one ball and you're trying to score the best that you can, or even to a certain extent, if you're playing 2 balls as well. I mean, generally speaking, you should be able to get around in the same as what a 2 ball is. One thing that you mentioned a little bit earlier on, which I think is one of the keys, and I've got it down on my list of things to talk about, is practicing and applying mental techniques while you're practicing and going out for a practice round. I think that's one thing that is really missed, certainly when you're on the range. And to a certain extent, even when you're having a short game session around the green, or a putting session, there is a little bit of mental technique in that you're concentrating and trying to improve. But when you're out in the golf course, you can really start to practice and to apply some of the mental techniques that we talk about on the show, and you can get from, whether it be books or audio books or other podcasts or whatever. You can go out and apply those techniques and see what works for you out on the golf course, and that's been one of the things that that I've found really useful in the times that I've gone out to practice golf on a golf course rather than being on the range.
Could not agree with you more. So one of the things that I know I struggle with, and want to get better at, and when you talk to some of the really good players, they tend to do this better, and that is really going through, before you step over your ball, really going through the decision process of what shot you want to play. And it sounds obvious, but actually really thinking it through, going, visualizing. You've picked your club, your yardage, you've assessed the wind, that whole WELD acronym, wind, elevation, lie, distance, so you do all of that, pick your club, think through what's the shot shape I want to hit. Am I going to cut this one in, and am I going to try and draw this in? What's my target for my starting line? What's the landing spot that I want to pick out? Really being meticulous with planning the shot before you step up, and then hit the shot. And then once you've hit the shot, evaluating, just not judgmentally, but just honestly evaluating, how it felt, what you did well, how was the strike quality? Were you locked into your plan? That real think box, play box, and reflection box piece that we've talked about. It's harder to do than you think. And the reality of it is, you're not going to do it well under pressure in an important round if you haven't practiced it. So it's absolutely a thing to do. And that in itself could be something that you go and do and go, I'm going to play 9 holes. Don't actually care about the score, but I want to make sure I go through this process meticulously on every shot. And that could be an outcome that you want out of your practice. So totally agree.
Yeah. And part of that as well is that if you're not particularly concerned about what you're scoring, you're practicing staying in the game and staying in the driver's seat rather than ejecting out of the driver's seat. And we've all done it in a round of golf where, we're not going to shoot a particularly good score, and we all go, it doesn't matter, and eject out of the driver's seat. But having that, and probably the best golfer to do it of all time was Tiger Woods. In that, a lot of the stuff I've heard and read about Tiger Woods is that even if he was playing a poor round, he'd have 6 holes to go. He'd really sort of motivate himself to go, okay, I want to shoot 2 under over the last 6. And even if he was 4 over or having a really bad day, he would still set himself mini goals to stay in the round and to have an objective and a purpose for that last part of the round. So certainly I think using practice rounds to be able to apply those mental techniques is really worthwhile.
Oh, I totally agree. I think it's a great idea. And even, if you're wanting to bring some breathing techniques into your pre-shot routine or some of those things, actually practicing your pre-shot routine. Trying a few things, saying, does it work better for me to have 0 practice swings before I step up? Does it work better for me to just step up and hit the ball, once I've done my thinking off the ball, whatever you want to change. And for a lot of people, it probably is about speeding it up, not slowing it down, because no one ever got more confident the longer they stood over a shot. So, some of the basics.
Yeah. And that's the thing with your pre-shot routine. If you're, and certainly if you're earlier on in your golfing pilgrimage and you don't necessarily have a pre-shot routine, that's something that can be practiced while you're practice playing. And there's a lot of different, I guess, theories on what a pre-shot routine should look like. Some people are advocates of no, it needs to be a certain number of seconds every single time, and it needs to be a very, very consistent, and you do exactly the same thing before every single shot. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think that I'm more someone who, when I feel ready, I swing. that means that, it could be 6 seconds or it could be 9 seconds. It could be, it varies. So I don't think having something that structured works for me, but but going out and playing and practicing your pre-shot routine, you can come up with something that works for yourself.
Where it is worth its weight in gold is when you're under pressure. And when you've got it, and when you've got to hit a shot, that's where your pre-shot routine is really useful, because it gives you something to focus on in your process rather than the outcome of the shot. And that is why every goal kicker in rugby union, rugby league, even penalty takers in soccer, and absolutely free throw exponents in basketball, they all have an incredibly consistent routine that they go through. Whether that is, you see the goal kickers doing it, the number of times they look at the ball, look at the post, the way that they then, have their movement into the ball before they kick, all those sorts of things. A lot of them have a little mantra that they might say, whether it's black dot or through the post or something like that. They all do it. And because when they're under pressure and they've got to kick the goal to win the game, they don't want to be thinking about, I've got to kick the goal to win the game. They want to be thinking about the process. And that's it's the same thing with the pre-shot routine for golf. So I think personally, the more consistent it can be, the more repeatable it is and the more reliable it becomes personally. But we're all different. So that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we've got sort of all the ideas, I guess what's the plan? How do we? What are we going to do to apply it?
Just go out and play.
Yeah. Is that it? Just randomly try and get out and play?
Go out and play. Look, I think for mine, I actually want to try and bring a bit more gamification into the simulator stuff that I'm doing, because I don't have a lot of other opportunity to get out on the course. And other than that, I think where I do have the opportunity, say on a Sunday afternoon, of either going and hitting a bucket at the range or going out and playing 9 holes, I'll try and err on the side of going and playing 9 holes. That's, to be perfectly honest with you, that's the focus. I'm also, that flies in the face of all of this, tinkering with a little bit of technical change to try and get the driver back. But that's not because I want to make a swing change or anything like that. I just want to try and try a couple of feels to see if anything actually helps. There was some light in the tunnel in the simulator this afternoon, so that was good.
Yeah. And look, there's a difference between, I think, trying to make wholesale swing changes and using feels to try and get, say, your driver or have a certain outcome with a certain type of shot. I think there's a big difference between those two things. I mean, we're always going to be, as golfers, we're going to be searching for a feel, whether it be on the day or for a couple of rounds or a week or a month or whatever the time frame is. We're always going to be searching for a feel. And that's certainly, what I'm looking at moving towards, rather than in the high performance center trying to make those wholesale swing changes and being, I need to have on my backswing, I need to be here at parallel, I need to be here at the top of my backswing, I need to be here. I want to move away from that. And what I've been doing in recent times of just having, swinging with feel and trying to feel certain things, I think is the way I'm going to move forward and just see where that goes. Certainly playing in the comp every second Tuesday, members comp. I need to have a look at what the senior program is. I did have a bit of a calendar as to what I wanted to play in. That sort of went out the window at the end of the Duntry seniors, but I'm going to go back and have another look at that and see if there's a few senior events that I can play in over the next few months. And then, on a Saturday afternoon, I think Saturday afternoon needs to be one of those ones where, and it won't be every Saturday afternoon, but maybe 3 times a month, I can get out and just play a few holes at Coimbra. I think that'll be a good sort of range of practice for me.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it'll be good. I think it's exciting. It's a bit of a way forward. Less miserable this week, so that's always a win.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I feel pretty positive about it, to be honest with you, because I was, after Duntry, I was concerned. And even though, yes, there were improvements, I was just like, this is just a really long process. As the guy in the pro shop said, like I'm not trying to play in the US Open. I don't have the amount of time that Rory and Scotty Scheffler and these guys have to make. Yeah, to make those swing changes. It's very limited. So how do I go out and enjoy golf, which is pretty important, as well as start playing well again, so that it becomes a lot more enjoyable and competitive. I think that's really where I need to go. With actually more of a focus on playing rather than the hardcore swing change, wholesale swing change practice.
I think that's a pretty good note to finish things off on, Andy Walker, unless there's any other pearls of wisdom that you've got to throw. No, that was
there's a lot there. I mean, it's I'll probably have to go back and listen to this episode again just to digest it a bit and just to get really clear on what that way forward is.
I think there's a lot to listen to. There's about to be a lot more to listen to as well, because as we wrap up, I'm considering really putting a bit more focus on my short game. So whilst I do that, Andy Walker, have you got any words of wisdom for the Pilgrims?
Only one thing left to do. Rock out, Pilgrims.
Yeah. Roll up to the tee, pocket full of hope. Driver got me dreaming, then the fairway says no. My long shot's a rumor, my putter's got the crown. I can miss from downtown and still smile it down. So I take my time, set my feet just right. If I can't reach far, I can get it close tonight. Yeah, short game, short game, short game, get it close. Short game, short game, short game, that's how I roll. Little chip, little touch, that's enough, that's enough. Short game, short game, short game, short game, short game, short game. Sand trap on my left, bunker on my mind. I don't need a miracle, just soft little line. Put it from the edge, watch it read the break. One clean little tap and the whole thing shakes. So I take my time, set my feet just right. If I can't reach far, I can get it close tonight. Yeah, short game, short game, short game, get it close, get it close. Short game, short game, short game, that's how I roll. Little chip, little touch, that's enough, that's enough. Short game, short game, short game, short game, short game. When the pressure climbs and the hole looks small, I don't swing for glory, I don't swing at all. Just a tiny swing, let the moment go. One soft little save and I'm back in the flow. Yeah, short game, short game.